And we're back with Creative Collection NYC. Thank you again with our special guest, Dr. Aishah. This is called Psychological Justice. Shout out to all of the sponsors that you'll see across the screen. Shout out to our other hosts. Can't be here today, but Brother Royalty, we got you. All right, Design.
So this is something that I've been wanting to speak about. I've been waiting to have somebody to talk about this with. On a psychological level, why do you think Black people have such a hard time getting along, and what do you think is going to take to change that?
Um, a number of things. I think that's a really good question. I think first, right, in order to oppress a group of people, like you have to keep a level of division between that group of people. So we saw that systematically during slavery. We saw that systematically during the Reconstruction period, where the vagrancy laws were in place, locking up all of the Black men that were newly freed Africans. So we know that a part of that is designed as a way to keep a group of people oppressed. So I think that is one element, is that you're fighting against a system that wants to keep you divided. And I think the second thing I'd like to interject here is also recognizing that there are different methods to Black liberation. So I think sometimes when one group of Black people see another group's method, they get discouraged and they'll start attacking that method because it's not their method of choice. So we saw that during, any movement throughout history where the emphasis was on the liberation of Black people. There was all different types. In the South, you had the deacons of self-defense. These were church deacons who was armed every time they left their house, right? Ida B. Wells said that a Smith & Wesson should be on the mantle of every African-American in America. So I'm saying that to say, like, there was so many different movements. There was the nonviolent movement. There was the Malcolm X movement. Like I said, deacons of self-defense. There was the Marcus Garvey movement. I mean, there's so many different pathways towards Black liberation, and I think that's important. That's an important voice that I want to be heard when we talk about the division within the Black community. But one is designed, and in order to undo that, right, each individual person will have to liberate themselves mentally. So that's one thing that makes it so difficult. And then the other is to give each other grace, that if you are of the like-minded mindset, in that you want to help your people to be free from oppression, then I think you also have to be open that people are going to go about it in different ways, and that's okay.
That's a
Go ahead.
That's a big one, because we keep doing this whole spiritual beefing thing, like, oh, I believe in this, and this is the mecca of everything, and then that's not it. That stuff really cause a big issue, because they don't realize who you are when you see you're an intelligent person, you know what I'm saying? So if you get up somewhere, get on a platform somewhere, and you speak division, it sounds intelligent now.
Oh,
Now people below you, they like, hey, they doing the same thing we doing, just in a better way. Hey, like so intelligent people got to be careful, because we influencing everybody with a new mindset, with a new way to think, with a new way of life, and then we only want to give half the milk. That's gonna be an issue especially for the people that are getting educated by us. They're gonna take it and run with it, and now you basically co-signing their ignorance.
Absolutely. That's a great point. A very great point. Recognizing what platform you have, who's listening to you, and that even in the midst when we're talking about these things, that you could be spewing, division in what you're saying. That's a great point. But yeah, I think also, like, if I recognize and I'm able to discern that you have the same intentions for your people, and you going about it in a slightly different way, or maybe I don't wholeheartedly agree with that. So what? Like, your goal is Black liberation, then that's the same goal I have, right? We're just going about it differently.
Exactly.
And I think we all need to go about it differently. Think about how many billions of people are on the planet. Like, how can one method be effective? Right?
Exactly.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So,
And there's 100 ways to skin a cat. There's no wrong way to liberate yourself. It's so many different ways. And I think that's the issue that we're having today. I mean, we're starting to see a change. The people are starting to really wake up and come together, but it's taking so long because there's so many different ways, and everybody thinks their way is the right way.
right.
There's no one right way. And that's how they have us like really brainwashed to think. That was how the system was developed, to cause that confusion, division, and to make us feel like there is no hope. There's only one right way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
For sure, for sure. Squeak, you getting the next question, right?
Yes. Hold on. All right. Okay. Okay. What does psychological justice mean to you?
I think psychology is right, the academic definition, which I don't like, but it's like the study of human behavior, the study of the mind. I would say it's more so the recognition of the soul, the recognition of the true essence of an individual, which is their soul, the part of them that is connected to the source, that is connected to God. So when I think of psychological justice, I think who each of us truly is. It's the deep depth parts of our soul and how we connect to God. That's who we really are. So I think psychological justice is having justice at the very core of who we are when we think of our self-concept. And justice for me is balance. So having internal balance at the very makeup of who you declare yourself to be, and having justice across the board in all of those elements and aspects of how you express yourself, which means having balance in all of those areas. When I think about Ma'at and the Kemetic principle, Ma'at is incredibly important for any civilization, and Ma'at brings balance. Ma'at is balance. So do we have within ourselves and the ability to create justice or balance at the very core essence of who we are? And from that, right, we're able to bring about balance and justice in all of the areas of our life externally, outside of ourselves. But it first has to be within.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. I like that you take the terminology of psychology and changed it into something else that isn't like, dominated by just science. I like that because psychology, I do feel like psychology deserves to be. Sometimes I've talking to people that are like, into religion and stuff like that, and I try to bring up psychology, and it's like they try to like, oh, that's a carnal thing, and they kind of like try to, but I'm like, how is the mechanics of God's body carnal? So
Exactly.
it's just, but I like that you break it down like that because that's the way it needs to be breaking down. Everything that we've been taught needs to be looked at it from the polar aspect of it. Because everything that we've been getting has been straight garbage. Most of the time, it's been garbage stuff we learn in schools. Pretty much, most of it has most people are not getting a good education. We need to start looking at the polar side of what we got going on, so that way we can get the enlightenment out of everything that we learning. Because a lot of this stuff is not enlightening. It wasn't enlightening being in school learning the first part of history was Black people and Martin Luther King was the first and the only thing that happened for us. Like that's ridiculous. And slavery is our whole history. That's ridiculous. Where's the enlightenment? So we need to start thinking deeper and deeper and just get more knowledge, like the better side of knowledge. Like it's a negative and positive everything. And I think you kind of mastered that a little bit, the negative side and positive side to everything. And you thought about, and then you weighed it out and you came up with, what I'm saying? You like the laws of Mayat. I like the laws of Mayat too. They have a very balanced structure to them, so yeah.
Yeah, and definitely, like you said before, like when you ask questions of like to these people who are supposedly teachers about our past and our ancestors, how can you really answer those questions? What do you have to go through? How can you give us those answers? Where do we get the resource from? We get the tablets, we have what you have archaeologists digging up bones and finding what was left behind from our past civilizations and stuff. That's the only answers you can really give us, because you weren't there. You know what I'm saying? So how can you tell us what happened? What proof can you give us besides a bone, besides a stone, besides, you know what I'm saying? And then I remember Design brought up carbon dating one time. So I didn't know these things exist, like, scientifically. You know what I'm saying? Scientifically, you're giving us answers based off of your machines, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not really realistic. And that's why I like how you broke it down about the soul, because I'm just learning that we have a God gene in our brain, right?
Yeah. God.
We have a God gene.
What about the God gene?
And yeah, and it's that's a whole nother topic, but I'm just saying the way you broke it down is beautiful, and we need to really, really do our own diligence to do our own research, because that's just what the meat of it. Because most of the time, like I said, we only go off what we have been indoctrinated about, and then it's like, oh, I have a degree in this and I have a degree in that. Okay, but have you been through the life experience? Yes, you've got the degree, but have you been through the life experience? Have you spoken to other people outside of your race? Have you ever been outside of your neighborhood, which may be considered the ghetto? Have you spoken to other people to go through these things like trauma? Have you ever experienced trauma? So you can't really explain things for other people, which is what we see today. We're used to having a leader. We're used to having a president. We're used to having someone dictate our lives every day.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And we don't even like it. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like when you said it's difficult earlier, side note real quick, we don't even like it. We don't like this indoctrination. We don't like that we divided, that men and battle of the sexes and all this nonsense. We don't like this stuff. We just taught that this is the way it's supposed to be. And we just given a blueprint of it. And then we engage in it and we stay stuck in it. And then we upset about the way it turned out. And then we say it's difficult to make a change.
Right. And then we scream, there's no justice. But why? Are you doing the work to really get justice?
Exactly. And I think also, like, we look, because we're indoctrinated, that the real world is outside of us, right? The real facts and the real knowledge and the real intuition is outside of ourselves, right? You essentially, you can't trust yourself to a certain degree. And so we focus so much on that when we're talking about progress. Is what is everyone else doing? Everyone in my neighborhood, none of them is woke, none of them is doing this. We don't recognize that the first step of enlightenment starts with yourself. Like, focus on yourself. Focus on freeing your mind first. That is the first thing. You know, like when they tell you about the oxygen mask, when you're traveling with a child, like, you have to secure yours first. First, secure your enlightenment. First, free yourself. Have you healed yourself? Because if you out here trying to work in the community and you have not done the work for yourself, you're leading everybody off a cliff. You haven't been willing to look at yourself. You have not been willing to separate yourself from those things that are oppressing you. But you out here doing activism.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely indoctrination. It's incredibly indoctrination. Like, I could go deep into this and talk about religion too as well, how things got transformed and, languages made it difficult to understand the true meanings of things that are actually more or less grievous and stuff like that. And then have you understand things from an aspect more like spiritually less, not oppressive, not so like, oh, like you said, God is within. Yes, God is within, but we told by many different religions that God is within. Are we told by many different religions, or are we told by men giving their doctrine of what they think is saying?
Yes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so many different things. But We not
And
gonna go.
one more thing, because we could take this so many
Yeah.
different directions,
We're not going.
right?
Nah, that's what I just said. We're not gonna go too deep into that
We're
because
not
it's
gonna go too
gonna
deep,
get
but
over
it just
all
needs
in.
to be said. Like, this is the perfect episode to talk about these things. So like with justice, right? How can you seek justice in a system that did not include you? Like that just goes right over the head, right?
Yeah.
You're
Well,
seeking justice too,
now
right?
if
Because if you don't declare yourself as a Black person, those laws don't apply to you. You're not a person, right? That's an entity. You're not Black, and that's a class. So with that system, if you're under their jurisdiction when you consider yourself their terms. It's all about language, right? So we could take this so many different ways, but like I said, everybody, please do your own research
Not
so you
going.
understand what we're talking about.
yes,
We're
I
not
know.
gonna go there. We're not gonna go there right now. But I mean, yeah, you could say what you're gonna say though.
Dang, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, she kept saying.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love the topics that you all be talking about. I love the topic. I forgot what I was gonna say. Dang. Oh man.
It'll
Hold on.
come. It'll come. It'll
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
it'll come back. I'm
It'll come at the
sorry.
right time. But so yeah, we boiling down. We actually down to like the last question right now, actually. So Squeaky, you have anything else you want to say before this last question? I think the whole
I think,
episode says enough for me. I don't have anything to say.
yeah, I think we pretty much got it. We got it across the map. But you could go into the next question, and if Doctor, you get the thing you wanted to say, and it comes back, just go right ahead.
All right, so how has you being involved in psychology impacted your life and others?
Oh man. It's definitely impacted my life. Like I said, I don't think I would have been able to. I don't know. I mean, I say I probably would not have been able to really go on that journey of self healing back in 2016. But I don't know. Who knows? I'm thinking that was really what really helped me be able to look at those deep parts of myself and of society was because of psychology. So I'll say that first. And I think also it's helped me in so many different ways. It's changed the way that I parent. So having a really good understanding of how so much of an adult's trauma is caused by childhood, instances in childhood. So I understand that the way that I talk to my kids, the way that I parent them, the lessons that I teach them, what I teach them about God, about spirituality, about themselves, is going to play a huge part into the human that they become, and into the human that they present to the world and to themselves when they become an adult. That's a lot of weight to carry, and I think psychology has helped me kind of understand that, especially working with so many populations and seeing how so much trauma that they experienced when they were children has impacted them and has, really caused a lot of issues in their life, or a lot of strife, or a lot of stress, and so forth. So I think that has been a really big influence in my life, as well. And then I think it's also helped me spiritually. So understanding the importance of the soul, how to connect to my soul, how to connect to my intuition more. I think a lot of that has played a part in my understanding of psychology, and of soul injuries, and healing the soul, not just healing symptoms, which I think a lot of mental health works on, or focuses in on. What are the symptoms here, and how do we alleviate the symptoms? How do we reduce symptomology? And instead, but having an understanding of what true healing actually is, because our medical field across the board, regardless of which sector within medicine, doesn't focus on healing at all. It's just reduction of symptoms. So I think that's really helped me spiritually, and then also helped me help other people heal themselves. I have a lot of clients that all we work on is racial trauma. And so I think like that understanding helps me get to a place, helps me help them get to a place of healing so much faster. Like we're going straight to the soul. Like that's what I mean. That's all we're doing. Like we're not talking about the symptoms. We're not talking about anything else but self. And I always remind them, hey, it is only you on this journey. It's just you and God on this journey. And so we're already going deep. We jumping in right into the deep end, like automatically.
I bet they love it.
Huh?
I said, I bet they love it.
I mean, it's healing. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully they find it rewarding. They have. I mean, they tell me that. But I think psychology is helped in.
Psychology is lit. Psychology.
Yeah.
I got one thing to say on top of that. When I was younger, when I was like probably like 15 or something like that, I met this guy. He was in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And he was like a rapper. You know, like growing up where I grew up, you didn't really hear people speak positively too much. It's either people, not that anybody was bad people or anything like that. Some people were, but most likely it was just because people just, like we said, just follow this norm of life. But he said something so simple to me one day, and it was only 1 minute in time. It was only 1 minute at a time. I was like 15 years old, and I just started, getting into the creative field and stuff that I was into. And he came up to me, we were talking and stuff like that, and he was like, yeah, he's like, yo, you should do this, you should do this, work on this. And I was like, yeah, I'll try. And he was like, yo, what you mean try? Like, take that word out your language. Take that word out your
Vocabulary. Yeah.
He said, just take that word out. He said, you could do it, bro. Like, take that word out your vocabulary. Then he left. That one time he said that, it's stick with me since. That one little sentence. Because you know why? Because nobody said nothing like that to me before at that time.
Yeah.
So that one time he said that, stick with me to all the way to now. Like, yeah. And it was
I actually had a therapist tell me that too. Yeah.
So I said that just to say for the kids, when you saying like positive reinforcements to them or whatever and stuff like that, that stuff is gonna linger in their mind for a long time. Like,
right.
Very important.
And what exactly was he showing you? Like, think about it. Like he was showing you your internal power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was showing you, like, take that word out. Like, don't utilize that word, and because that word is limiting to your power, is limiting to your internal ability.
Exactly.
Yes, because words are very powerful.
I haven't used that word that much though.
Right.
Ever since 15, I haven't really been, I can't. I don't really say that much. Like, I don't even say I can't. I try to say something else. Like, I'll learn or I'll figure it out or something like that. I'll say something different. Even if I'm not that confident, I'll say something that says like, yo, in the near future, I'll get it or something like that.
Right.
So,
I gotta really be at my lowest to say can't at this point.
Yeah. My leg gotta be cut or some, like, I gotta be really like,
right.
I really can't,
like,
bro. Like,
I can't move. Like,
can't move. Like,
right.
Is there anything else you want to add to that, Squeaky? Anything you want to say? I know you had something on your mind, Miss Aisha.
Yeah, they didn't come back. So, and maybe that means I gotta come back and we gotta talk.
Send me a DM or something when you remember it or something. I don't know.
right. No, because basically,
save it for later.
God gave us unalienable rights, right? So no man, no woman, no council member, no judge, no president could tell you or dictate your life. In reality, it's about you, your internal self. You have so much power. So for you to hand that over and give it away, especially if you're taking an oath to any of these jobs, whatever job that you take, you got to take an oath. So you're handing over your unalienable rights from God, and you're giving it to them. So now you can't do what you normally do freely. You got to listen to that person who's dictating your life, your boss, whatever it is, the money, whatever it is, right? So that's basically what I just want to say. So I appreciate you for taking what you learned in your life lesson and turning it and transmuting it for positive for others, because you had to deal with it yourself first. And that's what I do as a natural holistic therapist. I was in the medicine, I was in pharmacy, and it wasn't for healing. And once I knew that and found that out for myself through my own ailments, I realized that I'm hurting people. I'm helping to hurt people just because it's a job. Just because I took an oath to some entity, Hippocrates, that I don't want to harm people. And in all actuality, all I'm doing is harming people. You know what I'm saying? So that's very psychological. That plays on your psyche. You know what I'm saying? And then it hits your soul, because now you got to live with it every day. Now you got to wake up every day. Yeah, ask God for daily forgiveness, but you're going to keep repeating the same mistakes and then expecting a different result. That's insanity. Right. So yes, that's why I'm like, yes, when the design found you and he sent over your information, it's like we really like to shine light on those who are actually doing the work. Positive work, reinforcing our community to do better, because we are in this state of emergency, this emergency that. This system has put a whole spell on us to make us feel like we are stuck. We are not stuck. You know why? Because you have Dr. Aishah, you have Creative Collection NYC, you have New York Freedom Fighters, you have New York Du Jour, you have many, many, many people out here to help you get out of that mentality to think you are stuck. Free yourself, liberate yourself. What do you think our ancestors had to go through? They had a choice. They either chose to be enslaved or they chose to free themselves, however it may have been. So don't get upset when people say certain things that may be the truth, and it hurts you. Truth hurts, but truth is the truth. The truth is not a lie.
Right.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much for having me. I love what you all are doing. I think it's amazing. So please continue to uplift the community. Please continue to share and to use your platform to highlight individuals like myself.
Absolutely.
Amen.
All praise.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We signing out now. Creative Collection, Dr. Aishah, Psychological Justice.
Follow her on Instagram, right? It's
Yeah.
psychological_justice.
Yep.
Shout out to all
what other things, like events, do you have? Because where shout out to what you're doing, like, so people know where they could find you, wherever you have your meetings, your sessions. Yeah.
So yes, hit me up on Instagram, psychological_justice. I'm also on Psychology Today for oppressive relief healing. You can find me on Psychology Today. If you type in psychological justice, you can find my business. If you're looking for an individual to help you with your racial trauma, we also do Sawabona events, which is a storytelling series to help individuals heal from racial trauma. By going to the community, sharing their story, and the community or the audience provides a healing response. So you can reach out to me on Instagram if you're interested in that. If you're an organization or a business, you can Google siponow.com if you're looking to get some DE&I strategic goals and insight for your organization.
All right. All right. Thanks again for joining us. And shout out. No problem. Shout out to all the sponsors. They'll be up on the screen again. And yeah, all praise. We appreciate everybody. We hope this is empowering for you and gives you something to look at. Have a good day, everybody.
Peace.
Have a blessed one. Thank you again, Dr. Aishah.
Thank you. Take care.